Hello, I'm EG and this is Crocheting with EG. And in this video, I went back to the antique store, if you saw my last video, and I had found that yarn in the antique store, and I said I was going to go back to get the rest of the yarn that they had, because I was shocked that they had yarn in an antique store. And I'm going to make a new chair back with it, probably, if I have enough. I don't know if I have enough. They had more of the darker color than the lighter color, but I did get all the rest that they had. And then I did finish my cuffs, which I'll show in greater detail. So I'm wearing my new cuffs, and I retired my old ones. And then I have just a bunch of other random things in one of my variegated videos, but whatever. And so I'll start with the yarn. So I went back to the antique store. They had 12 more of this colorway, the darker colorway. And then they had 3 more of the really pretty one, the one called Vibes, this Yarn Bee yarn. And so they had 3 more of these, so I have 4 of these. So I don't know if it's going to be enough to do the front panel of a chair back or not. I mean, hopefully it will. And I'll probably, I'll try to use my EG stitch, but I'm thinking I'm going to have to figure out how to do decreases with it, because I want it to be more form-fitting to my chair back. And so I can start at the bottom, but once I get up to the top, I want to like sort of decrease down, and so I need to figure out how to decrease my EG stitch. And so if I can't figure it out, or if it just doesn't look right or whatever, or I feel like I'm not gonna have enough of this yarn, I can always use a different stitch or something, maybe a double crochet or something, a little bit more area than like a single crochet. I don't know, but I do want to try to use this for a chair back. And so I'll try to do at least the front panel in this color, and then the back in the dark, and then that way I can kind of flip it every once in a while. And then I also was thinking, because like this is what the little swatch looks like that I showed in my last video. And so I mean, it's a really pretty yarn. And so but I don't know if it's going to be enough to do the front panel. So I was thinking I could mix it with some black, and so I tried that, a little swatch of that with the color. So I mean, it does make the color look really good with this black mixed in. So I don't know. I'm still kind of debating how to do this, but I do want to use this yarn for a chair back, and so I got enough of that. Oh, and then what's weird is these were priced at $2.50 a piece, and that's what I thought they were. The last time I went to that antique store. But I was gathering up all the bags and our receipts and all that kind of stuff after I'd done my last video. I was looking at the one at the antique store, and she actually charged me $2 a piece for those 2 skeins, because I got one of each. But they were priced at $2.50, so I don't know why she she charged me $2 a piece for them. So that was like a deal. And then the little kitty thing that I put on my shelf over here, the little kitty figurine that I found at that place with the big green yarn ball. I have it over here on this shelf with all my other little knickknacks and stuff. This was priced at $10, but on the receipt it says a discount of 40% off of. There are a couple places in there that, I mean, they're separated by those half walls. They're kind of like little cubicles, and then there have been a few that have little signs that say, like, you know, a percentage off. But I didn't really notice if that one had a percentage off or not. But she charged me $6 for this, and there's a discount of 40% taken off of this. So it was a better deal than I even thought. This would have been worth $10, but I don't know why it was 40% off. But I only paid $6 for this, and then the yarn was $2 a piece, and then the fairy was still $5, and then the little Pez dispenser was $2. So the only thing that was discounted was the yarn for some reason, and then this. So that was a deal that I didn't even realize that I'd gotten. But anyway, but this time she charged me $2.50 per skein, and so I got 15 skeins. It's just like this bag. I put it in this old Hobby Lobby bag. So 15 skeins total. So there's 12 of the dark kind. Let me say it again if you didn't see my last video. It's called Dusk. Yarn Bee Boucle Traditions. This is called Dusk, and then the really pretty one is called Vibes. And so there were 3 of those, and then 12 of these. And then also while I was in there, I mean, the first time I went into that antique store, there was this, like I said, it's not just like antiques. There are some areas where they have kind of new stuff, or things that you wouldn't traditionally see in like an antique store. Like there's one that has like a bunch of wrestling memorabilia. I'm not really into wrestling, but like all that kind of stuff, and like t-shirts that have like wrestling people on it, and like rock concert kind of t-shirts with, you know, the logos of the of bands, and like, you know, they have like a lot of interesting stuff in there too. I mean, they have like traditional antiques in there too, but there are areas where you wouldn't expect to see that in like an antique store. And then there was one where I went in there, and I think it was the one with the wrestling stuff, because they had a section over here with like some record albums, and on the wall they had this metal sign, and it was like a recreation of the Beatles album cover, Rubber Soul, I think it's called, and they had that on the wall, and it was $10. But we had seen that the first time we were in there, my mom and I, and of course she loves the Beatles, and you know, I get her anything Beatles out that we see, but she says, oh no, we don't have to get that. It's like $10 for that. It's just like a metal sign. But I knew that she wanted it because you know, she loves the Beatles, and we try to get her anything Beatles related that's not ridiculously priced or whatever. But I thought, you know, $10 isn't a lot for that metal sign or whatever, because you know, we hardly ever see Beatles stuff out. And so and my mom loves the Beatles, and like, if I'm gonna get yarn and stuff for myself and buy myself collectibles, I can buy her a freaking sign that is, you know, Beatles related. And I mean, like the whole antique store. Like, another thing I was looking for, hoping that they would have something in there, was I was hoping that they would have I Love Lucy stuff, but they didn't have anything Lucy related at all. Not even an old VHS tape or DVD, or like, they do have some DVDs and movies and stuff in there too. So it's not just like a traditional antique store, but they didn't have anything Lucy related, but they did have that sign that was Beatles related. But my mom was like, no, you don't need to get that from me or whatever. And so I thought, okay, well, you know, she didn't really want to get it, but I knew that she wanted to get it. And so the next time I went in there, I was by myself, and I thought, you know, I'm going to get all this yarn for myself, and I thought, I'm going to buy that damn poster for, not damn, you know what I'm saying, but I wanted to buy that, you know, freaking poster for my mom, or whatever, that metal sign or whatever, because, like, you know, she loves the Beatles, and I wanted to get it for her. So I went ahead and got it, and so that was the other thing that I got with this yarn. And so it's like this really nice, like, metal sign. It's like a recreation of the Beatles album cover, you know, Rubber Soul. And I mean, it's kind of 3D too. They took their faces and kind of made it a little bit 3D, and like the logo too. And this is like, you know, from Apple Corp Limited. This is like a, you know, it's not like some bootleg thing. It's an officially licensed, like, because, you know, Apple is not Apple, like the electronics that I've never owned before, because, you know, I'm such a Luddite. No, like, Apple is the company that releases all or that owns the rights to, you know, the Beatles stuff, and it's their company. So this is an officially licensed sign or whatever. So I went ahead and got it from my mom, and it was $10. And I knew that she would love it, and of course she did. And so I went ahead and bought that for my mom too. But anyway, so when I got up to the register, that woman was like kind of shocked that I walked in there, and then I was up at the register like literally 5 minutes later. Because, you know, it's one of those places where it's big enough where you expect the people to go into the store and then just like take a long time to look around and everything. But I walked in there, and I had my I had one of those. Not this Goodwill bag, but one like this, like these reusable bags, and because I knew that I would need a bag for all the yarn and stuff, because they don't have carts or anything. And so I had my reusable bag, and I walked in there, and then because I knew that I would need a bag to carry all this yarn out. And then like 5 minutes later, I was up at the register, and then she was just like, oh, because, like, you know, I just walked in, and then I had this bag full of all this stuff. And so, like, I walked back there, I knew exactly where the yarn was, I got all the yarn, and then I thought, I'm gonna get that freaking sign. So I just, like, you know, did a U-turn around there and got the sign from there, just like took it off the wall. I went up to the register, and the woman was talking about crochet and stuff, and she said, I would get so frustrated with crochet, and I said, well, it's actually really relaxing and stuff. And she said, oh, is it? And so she was just kind of surprised that it was like a relaxing thing. We were talking about the yarn and everything, and then the woman said, you know, I bet she has some more yarn at her house, and I'll have to tell her about it. Maybe she'll bring some in. If they have some more yarn and they bring it in, I just feel like it's probably not going to be this color, because, you know, they would have had more of this in the store, but they only had the 4 skeins, like that, you know, the one I got the other time, and then these other 3, and then there was a whole bunch of that dark. So I felt like if they would have had more of this, they would have put like an even amount of both colorways and stuff. But maybe they'll get some more in and stuff, and I can get some more of this yarn and stuff. But hopefully this will be enough, and I won't have to buy any more of it. But and she also asked, like, you know, what kind of stuff I crocheted, and I was telling her about some of the stuff I've crocheted, and then she said, oh, if you use this yarn and make some stuff with it, you'll have to come in, and she was like, I'm probably just being extra friendly, but she said, when you make some stuff with this yarn, you ought to bring it in and show us, or at least some pictures and stuff. And maybe she was just being extra friendly or whatever, but it was kind of sweet that we had this conversation about crochet and everything. But she just acted like she wasn't really interested in it, that she would be frustrated. But it was nice telling her about all the stuff that I've crocheted and everything, and she just got really excited because I bought all this yarn. But so I did get the rest of that and that beetle sign from my mom. Oh, and like I said, I finished the cuffs. I didn't finish all of my new cuffs. I just did the 3 that I knew I'd be wearing in this video. Of course, this is my slap bracelet. I didn't recreate that or anything. But I did do the duplicate of the rainbow one, and then the black and gray one with the sparkle in it and stuff. And then I did the one with the 6 colors in it. And so I just did the ones that fit here, and then the other sizes I'll do later. But I just didn't. I tied these together and weaved in the ends and stuff, and then I'll do the other ones some other time. But I just wanted to do these, and so they turned out really nice. And where I put my retired ones is in this little box, and I'd shown it in a previous video. I'd gotten it at Goodwill. It has kitties on it and a little yarn ball. You remember that box? And so that's where I have my cuffs, that I retired, and so they're in here. They're in this room. They're just not on my wrist or whatever. But I did finish these cuffs, and so I think they turned out really nice, and they fit a little bit better. I guess pulling those ones on and off all the time kind of stretched them out just a little bit, especially that black one. But these fit really nice, and they just look so nice, and I'm really happy with these new ones and stuff. But and I'm really excited to think of like all the different ones that I can make. Especially, I want to see what that glow throw con is going to work like. I'm not going to use my EG stitch with that one, but I want to use. I guess I'll have to, because I want to keep these like 6 strands. So I'll have to figure out how to use the 2 yarns, because I don't even think I have I do have multiple skeins of. See how my brain works. I say like 15 thoughts at once, and I never finish any of them. But I do have a couple skeins of that the metallic kind of yarn, but I don't have as much of that Crafter's Secret. I mean, I only had that 1 skein left. I think I have a ball, so I have to figure out how to do that, like make that with 3 strands. Or I guess I could do that triple up method, like use the strand of the metallic and then the strand of the Crafter's Secret acrylic, and then do that triple up method with both of them, and then just like keep pulling through depending on what strand I get to. Maybe I can do that, and that'll be 6 strands. But I don't know if it'll work up the same way with like the 3 strands as 1, and then the other 3 strands as 1. But I don't know. But I am looking forward to that one. And I mean, not that the glow throw effect is gonna show in this video, because for some reason this crappy camera, it doesn't really show the effect it has in person. I have this thing sitting here, like this little bag that I made. See, I don't even know if you can pick up the kind of glow effect of it, or like the optical illusion. It doesn't glow, but you know what I'm saying. But just sort of the optical illusion of how the blue kind of makes it look like it sort of makes it look like this is a green teal, but then when you look at it, that blue in there almost makes it look like the green is glowing. I mean, it's just an optical illusion, but still. But it's a really cool effect in person. But hopefully it'll make a nice cuff and everything. But so I did finish these. Oh, and because I used most of my hot glue that I had to glue that giant puzzle that I showed in my last video, the one with the kitties in the basket and the big yarn balls, I wanted to get some more hot glue in case I found any more puzzles, or I do use my hot glue for other things, not just gluing puzzles together or whatever. But I wanted to get some more hot glue sticks, and I didn't want to order them on Amazon because I was thinking it might be nice just to get some around here. And so I thought I go to Hobby Lobby practically every day, and so I thought I'll check in Hobby Lobby. But what was stupid is I couldn't even find the hot glue sticks. Like I looked in the back, and they had some in the section where they have the styrofoam, but the ones that were in the back were like the really big thick ones, and I use those smaller. I mean, I have a hot glue gun with like they use the big full size sticks or whatever, but I use the little mini ones, MINI, and so they only have like the big ones back there, and I couldn't find those freaking glue sticks anywhere. And like even though I was looking down the glue aisle, I even looked for some puzzle glue, because I thought like I'm looking down the aisle where all the glue and stuff is, like that Mod Podge stuff is, because I used to use that when I was growing up, and I used to make decoupage kind of stuff, and so I was looking down that aisle where that glue was, and like I know that Michael's has some puzzle glue because I bought some for my sister-in-law, because she works puzzles too, and I had a voucher, and I went ahead and used some of the voucher to get her a little thing of that puzzle glue one time when we found out that she worked puzzles and stuff. And so I knew that they had puzzle glue, but I knew that it was made by the same company that made Mod Podge. And so when I saw that in the aisle at Hobby Lobby, I thought maybe they have some of that puzzle glue, but they didn't have any puzzle glue. Even though there's an aisle in Hobby Lobby that has puzzles, I even looked down the puzzle aisle just to see if they had any glue down that aisle, but they didn't have any puzzle glue in there. And yet they maybe they have some and they just don't have it. They were out of stock or something, or I don't know. But I didn't see any spaces for it or anything. So I thought, like, where's the hot glue and where's the puzzle glue? They didn't have any puzzle glue. But I was mainly looking for the hot glue sticks. And then I went to the front of the store, and then it was in this kind of freestanding shelf there, sort of off the flowers. And the only explanation in my head I could think of is maybe they have the hot glue sticks up there because it's near the flowers, and if people are buying like the fake flowers, they're gonna use them to make like arrangements, or like take the flowers off and glue them to wreaths or something, or like I don't know why they would have the hot glue sticks up at the front of the store like that. You would think it would be some back there where the glue and stuff was. It just seemed like an odd place for it. I mean, the people that buy the fake flowers, I mean, yeah, I'm sure they use them for crafts like that, but there are so many other reasons to use hot glue, and so I just feel like it should be back there in the glue aisle, but it's, you know, it's there, and it's where like all the like Velcro, and it's just like this weird freestanding shelf there that, you know, doesn't really belong there, but it's kind of in the front of the store. And so like I went looking all over the frickin' store, and it was all the time it was up at the front of the store, but I didn't get the glue sticks in there because they were the only bags they had were it was $4.99 for a pack of 50 of like the little mini glue sticks, and where they're not, I don't mean just mini like small this way, I mean like mini like the roundness of it, because they like the full size sticks are like those really long, although I do I have gotten some like the little mini, like the skinny ones that are like really long. I bought those on Amazon. I've never seen those in the store before, but like mainly the glue sticks that are really long are like the ones that are really thick, like that. And then the mini ones that usually just have like the little small ones. And so they had a pack of 50 for $4.99, and I knew that price wasn't good. And so, because I know that Walmart has them cheaper than that. Because all the times I've ever bought glue, I've never bought like those little tiny packs or whatever, and for like $5. I thought the price just seemed high in my head, and so I didn't get those glue sticks. And then I went into Michael's just to see if they had any glue sticks, and of course they did. But they had a 100-pack. They didn't have a 50-pack. They did have a 100-pack, but it was $10, and so I thought that's the same price as Hobby Lobby. And so while I was in there, I got some yarn too, but whatever. I'll just skip ahead. But eventually I went to Walmart, and they had a 100-pack for $7.87 or $7.57. So like the glue sticks, and you would think that Hobby Lobby would be cheaper, because that's the one of the bad things about not wanting to shop in Hobby Lobby, but then you end up going there anyway because their prices are so cheap. But I thought that their glue sticks are not good, a good price. If you can get 100 of them in Walmart for $7.57, and if you got that same amount in Hobby Lobby, it would be $10, and Michael's too. So anyway, but I did get the 100-pack in Walmart for $7.57. But anyway, like I was saying, when I was in Michael's looking for the glue sticks, they had more of those carousel twist skeins of yarn. They had already taken the clearance stickers off of the shelf, and so these were regular $7.99, but they were on clearance for $3. That's why I had bought a bunch in a previous haul. But like all that was gone for weeks and stuff. And so I went back in there, and then there were like 3 stragglers on the shelf, and these really pretty, I think they're birthday something or other. It's the Loops and Threads Carousel Twist. Yeah, the color is birthday cake, because it kind of reminds you of that kind of birthday cake confetti kind of stuff. And so they had like 3 stragglers in there, and but because they didn't have the clearance stickers anymore, because all the clearance yarn was gone, they were in there on the shelf where it said $7.99. But I knew that these weren't, they wouldn't clearance these out at $3 and then put them back in the store for the regular price it was before they clearanced them out. So I just felt like they found these in the back, and they had already taken the clearance stickers off, or like in one of the drawers maybe, I don't know. But they found like 3 stragglers, and then they just put them where they were supposed to go. But because the clearance sticker wasn't there anymore, it just looked like these were $7.99. But I knew, if I had like a smartphone, I could have just like scanned it and I would know. I'm sure there's like some app that's really easy, like the Michael's app or something. It would have made it really easy to just scan the barcode, and it would have showed up on the phone. But I knew in my head that these were probably still $3 a piece, and so I went ahead and got these, and I got up to the register, and they were $3 a piece. So I did get 3 more of those, so $9 for these really pretty skeins of yarn. So. And then there's just a couple other random things. When I was in Walmart, looking for the glue, and that's when I bought the glue. I was looking in the books. I always looked in the DVDs because they're smaller. It used to be so much bigger, and now it's just kind of scaling down and scaling down. At least they have some. Like when you go into Target, they don't have any DVDs anymore in mine. But the section in Walmart is just being more and more scaled down. But I was looking at the DVDs and looking at the books, and then of course the yarn aisles and stuff too, or yarn aisles. Yarn aisle. God, it's not even an aisle anymore, so it's like a half aisle, but whatever. But I was looking in the books, and they had these little crochet kits of like there was the Harry Potter one, and I think I got that at Goodwill. So I had that. It's in my Harry Potter stuff. And then they had one, and I think I took a video on my phone, but I'm not really sure. Sometimes I'm such a Luddite, like I don't even know how to use my freaking flip phone yet. It's just sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm in the store and I take a picture, and then I like later on I'm thinking, where the hell's the picture? And then I look in the videos, and like I had taken a video like while I was taking my phone out, but then it didn't get what I was wanting to film. It just got like the floor, or like I'm such an idiot. I just feel like some 100-year-old trying to use a cell phone for the first time. I'm like looking at like there's so many buttons. I don't know. I just feel so stupid. So I tried to take a video, and hopefully I did. But they had these little crochet kits, and I think they were $20. And so it's I got a good deal on that Harry Potter one for my Harry Potter collection when I got it at Goodwill. If it's $20 regular price, but they had that one, and they had a Beetlejuice one, and then they had one that was that Tim Burton movie. Nightmare, not Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare Before Christmas. I've never actually seen that. I have the DVD. I know I got it at one of the pawn shops or something sometime to watch it, but I've never actually seen that movie. Is it a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie? I feel like it's Christmas, but it has like a Halloween aspect to it. I don't know, but I've never seen it. But they had one of those. And then I went over to the toys because I wanted to look in the puzzles because we'd finished that puzzle, and I just kind of it's kind of fun working a puzzle. I mean it's frustrating too, but I wanted to look in the puzzles to see if they had any that had anything to do with like yarn or crochet or whatever, and they did. It's like from Amy Stewart, and it's called Vintage Knitting. And even though it's like knitting related, there are some crochet elements in here because there's like a book laying there, and it says knitting and crocheting, and there's a crochet hook over here in the corner, and then this doily here kind of looks crocheted, and so I know it's supposed to be like vintage knitting, but it has all these yarn elements on it, and all these like yarn balls and knitted stuff, and some crocheted stuff, and it's just like this really cool puzzle. And so I bought this too. This was a 1,000-piece puzzle, and it was $11.97, so it's worth it. And so I'll probably put this puzzle together and hang it up in here. I may have to, like, before I start hanging up the puzzles, I need to make sure I have enough room for all the yarn hauls and stuff I've gotten, and I need to, when I reassess this room and expand the storage and start to decorate it, I need to tackle the yarn first, and then say I messed up the word tackle, and now I'm thinking about like imagining myself like tackling yarn like some football player or football player tackle something like I'm a Black Friday shopper. That's a better reference than football. My ass playing football or whatever. But I need to tackle the putting the yarn away first, because I don't know if I'm going to need some wall space somewhere for like a storage area, and then I can start to hang up these puzzles. Luckily I only have a couple puzzles to hang up on this wall right here, and I would never put any shelf here because this shelf has my ceramics on it, so I feel like at least this tiny bit of wall here is clear, but like all the other areas in the room, I mean I can't put anything like any shelves over my washing machine, so I feel like that puzzle that I put together, that my mom and I put together, that'll go perfect on that wall, because I'm never going to be able to put a shelf there. I'll put that net over it to put some yarn on top of that, but otherwise, like, I don't know if like, what if I need some shelf space over here for yarn? Even though I like these chest of drawers and like with the flag displays and stuff on top of them, I may need this wall sometime because I do have a lot of yarn to put away. I just feel like I don't want to start putting stuff on walls and then have to like, oh, I have to take it down because I need to put a shelf in front of it. You know what I'm saying? But luckily these take so long that it's not going to be an immediate problem if it ever does become one. And there are areas like above this doorway that, you know, there's some wall space up there that I can put some, like a puzzle if I put another one together, because I can't put a shelf up there. But anyway, so but I did get a nice puzzle, and I'll put this together. It's really pretty and colorful, and it has all kinds of, you know, yarn and knitting needles. And see, this is the crochet hook over here on the side, and see the little book. It says, you know, knitting and crocheting, and this doily down here looks like it's crocheted, and so but it's just like a pretty yarn related puzzle. So I got that at Walmart. And of course the glue sticks and everything. And I did go to Goodwill, and the only thing they had was this pride tree, or it could just be like a rainbow tree or whatever. But you know, for me, this is a freaking pride tree, and so it's all messed up. I'll have to take the time to, you know, kind of pull the limbs out and you know, make it look real even. But it's, you know, in the pride colors and stuff. And I do have a lot of pride ornaments. They're on my Christmas tree, and I do have some of my pride stuff. So like, and I do have enough pride stuff I can have a display somewhere in this house. I don't know if I'll do that or not, but I do buy all that. I'm one of those suckers that buys all that pride stuff, you know, to support any business that, you know, carries this stuff. And so I buy all that, no matter how tacky and all that stuff is. I do end up buying it to support the businesses and stuff. And so I do have a lot of, you know, knick-knack kind of stuff that's pride related. And so now I have a freaking Christmas tree that I can display some of my ornaments and stuff on and everything. And I was looking on Amazon. They do have some like pride related ornament, like where it's not just like, you know, one ornament, like when I go into Michael's and I get their pride ornaments if they get them in. But they do have some on Amazon that where you can get like, you know, 10 or 12 at a time, and they're all the same, but they're kind of rainbow colored, or they, you know, say something on them, or they do have those ones that are like flat and they're made out of wood and have like, you know, different pride sayings and pictures on them and stuff. I could get some of those if I use this as like a pride display or whatever, but I just think it looks really nice. And it has a string of lights on it, those fairy lights. That's very fitting. Like, you know, those it's like a really thin wire. I think that's what you call them, is like fairy lights. So of course they're on this tree. No, but they have these like little tiny lights on them and stuff, and those fairy lights are really pretty. And it has the thing for the batteries and stuff. I didn't put the batteries in them to see if it worked, but I'm sure it does. So this is $5 at Goodwill. And then I went to Dollar General again to try to look for those 7 dwarfs for my mom, and they didn't have them. It's still just like this big gap there on the shelf or whatever, so they just haven't gotten them in yet. And then I went to Ollie's, and they didn't have any more yarn, but they did have a couple bolts of fabric, and I took some pictures with my phone, I think. I don't know if I did or not, but they did have a couple bolts of fabric. They weren't worth getting, you know, for me. They did have a couple that were like this black material that was like really stretchy. It kind of reminds you of like material that like leggings or something would be made out of. And so I had some of those. And then they had a bolt that was, it was like this sheer blue fabric, and it had flowers on it, and it felt like there was maybe like some little pearls or something in it. I mean, it was pretty and everything, but I had seen in somebody's video on YouTube that they had some because like all these bolts of fabric are from Joann, and they had a bolt of fabric that kind of looked like granny squares, but it was more like lacy kind of granny squares. I thought that was kind of pretty. It would have been pretty if my Ollie's got some of that in. I don't know what the hell I would do with it, but it would just be nice to see that in person, to see if it would be worth getting to, you know, decorate something with it. But they didn't have that. Only a couple bolts of fabric. But that was a positive sign. They got some of the fabric in, because I didn't. I thought that my store didn't get any of it in. And then this is a completely random thing, but we're going through this boil water advisory thing right now, because we've gotten the ice storm and the snowstorm and stuff. And I think that it has something to do with like the runoff from all of that, and like all the stuff that they put in the roads to keep it from freezing, and like, you know, all the runoff from all of that ice and snow melting, and like all the stuff that was in the road, and like, you know, all the dirt too, and not just the stuff they put in the road to keep it from freezing, but just like all the stuff that, you know, from the runoff. I guess it had gone into the river, and I guess the water had a lot of what's the word, turbidity, or God. Like, we've learned so many different words over the past few years. Like, the pandemic gave us a whole new dictionary of words that, you know, in our heads. And now I'm starting to learn all these words about like the water treatment and the turbidity of the water and the like whatever. Because I'm trying to follow the news with all this crap going on. But I guess all the runoff from all of that stuff, went into the water, and it made it hard for the water treatment plant to, like, treat the water and everything. And there were some areas where their water pressure was down, like it wasn't as good as it should be, and like ours was fine. But I guess, in other parts of town, the pressure of the water was starting to be affected. And so I guess out of a precaution, because of the water pressure being affected in certain areas, they decided to issue a boil water advisory. And of course that means that you don't use the water coming out of your faucet except to like wash your hands and stuff, but like don't use it for cooking unless you boil it first, and like don't drink out of the tap, and like just all this stuff. And of course the whole town was freaking out and like going into the stores and buying up all the water and stuff. But the positive thing is, and another reason why I'm so appreciative of this whole YouTube experience and stuff, is when I'd gotten all the supplies and stuff, when we were gonna, like before we had gotten the initial ice storm, and I'd prepared for that, and gotten all the canned foods, and I'd gotten a whole bunch of water too, just in case we needed water and stuff. And so, like, while all this stuff is going on, and you're not supposed to use the water and all that stuff, I was thinking I have like 3 huge cases of water in there that I thought like probably felt a little bit like a waste, even though it gave us peace of mind during all that ice and snow and stuff, but it sort of felt like a little bit of a waste because we didn't really need it. But when all this stuff happened, I thought, well, it's a good thing that I bought all that water, because now we have a whole bunch of water that we can use, and like to use for the coffee pot, or to like preparing food, or like whatever. And so we have all kinds of water and everything, because like when going into the grocery store, like all the like the Walmart brand, or like the other store brand, that all their water was gone, and then it just had all the expensive Dasani packs with like they had all the like the name brand water and stuff, and like all the gallon jugs of water were gone, and like all the really cheap water was gone. But luckily we had plenty of water at home, so we're fine right now. But the only thing is, like I've said in previous videos, that I have OCD, and so like I wash my hands a lot, and so now I just feel like I wash my hands with the water. I mean, this boiled water thing is just a precaution. It's not like they did this because they know that there's something in the water. They're doing this because I guess what they have to do is they have to test it over a series of days to make sure that like all the sources. Because like what happened was. Try to figure out like where I am in the story. So what happened was all this happened, and then they had to turn off the water to like clear it out, to clear out the filters, or like whatever, to what they use to filter the water, and it made the water pressure go down in certain areas. But then eventually it basically cut off the water, because like I went into the kitchen and I thought, well, but at least we have water that we can boil and feel like we're using. And then I turned on the water and nothing was coming out, because they had to turn off the water. So that's when I really felt fortunate that I used the money from YouTube and everything to prepare for the ice storm, and I had all that water and stuff, because we didn't have water for like a whole day. But then the water is back on and everything, but it's not like they know for sure that there's something in it. But just because of what they have to do, they have to test it over a series of days to make sure that there's nothing in the water, that it's clear and clean and perfect to use. Then we can resume using the water as normal and everything. While we wait for them to do that, at least we have water and everything coming out of the faucet. But at the same time, like I have OCD and I wash my hands a lot, and so now it just sort of feels like, even though there's probably nothing wrong with the water, I wash my hands and then I feel like my hands aren't clean. Luckily, I carry hand sanitizer with me all the time, and I have a lot here at the house, and gloves. I have all kinds of stuff. So I was prepared for all of this stuff, just because of having OCD and being so conscious of germs in my hands and all that kind of stuff. Like I stock up on all kinds of gloves and stuff, like when I'm cooking or whatever, so I don't get anything on my hands, and I have all kinds of hand sanitizers just because of having OCD. So like we were prepared, but at the same time, I hate because like at least when I wash my hands, I don't feel like I have to put on hand sanitizer, because I just wash my hands. But now I just feel like my hands aren't really clean, and so I hate that. I hate that feeling and everything. But I'm only bringing that up, not to mention my freaking OCD again or whatever. But I'm just bringing it up to say how thankful I am to you again for like all the super thanks and all the like watching my videos and because getting the ad revenue and stuff. it gave me that initial payment from YouTube that allowed me to buy all that stuff to stock up for the ice storm and the snowstorm, and all the canned foods and all the water, and that I didn't really need at the time, but it's coming in handy right now. All the water that I bought, especially just because of all this stuff going on. I don't know how long it's going to go on for. I guess it has to be like over a couple days and stuff, and then they have to do all these tests again and all that. But I don't know. But right now we can't really use the water like we normally do without worrying about it and stuff. And there are even some restaurants around here that have closed, and like going through Walmart, like the deli section is even closed because like preparing food, they have to worry about that. It's just like another freaking thing. Like we went through all the ice storm and stuff, and then how that just disrupted the whole town, and then that eventually started to go away, and then we got all that snow, and then all that, and then now all this crap. So we're going through that, but I'm really thankful for the money that I got from YouTube, because it's making it a little bit easier, because we have plenty of water to get us through these next few days and stuff, through this whole boil water advisory thing or whatever. So again, thank you. Super thanks to you. Super thanks to all of you for all the super thanks, and for watching my ridiculous videos and stuff, and sitting through the ads that give me the ad revenue and all that kind of stuff. So thank you. And then I went into Hobby Lobby looking for yarn. Of course, they didn't have any yarn, and they had their Valentine's stuff on clearance, and it was 66% off, which I thought was a weird number, but you'd think that would be 75% off. No, but they did have some pretty Valentine's stuff in the clearance section, and like I said, I do love Valentine's stuff because I have a big I Love Lucy collection, and so I always like to look at all the Valentine's stuff. When the stores get it in brand new, or when they clearance it out, or like all this stuff on sale, or like even when I'm going through Goodwills or whatever, or Salvation Army, looking through the holiday stuff, I always look for the heart stuff to add to my Lucy collection. Even though it's not really specifically Lucy related, I do like all the heart stuff to go with my Lucy stuff. And so they had this was $2.49 regular price, and the clearance price was 85 cents because 66% off. So it's these a 12-pack of glitter hearts, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Like I said, I have a Lucy wall upstairs. It's not as full looking as the yarn wall, but I do have like a dedicated wall of my Lucy collectibles. And it's the wall where there's like a slant, like the ceiling is slanted, and on the wall there's like this huge poster that my aunt gave me a long time ago. I forget what it's for, but it has Lucy on it from the Vitamin Vegemin episode. And then on the other side of the wall, I have this tapestry that I'd gotten. My mom got me for Christmas one year. And it has the screenshot of Lucy and Ricky and Ethel and Fred when they're dressed up like Santa Claus from the Christmas episode, and it's just like this really nice like a woven tapestry kind of thing. And so that's on the other side of the wall. And so, but there is a lot of like space around those posters, and I feel like I do have a lot of like garland and stuff that I bought at places like Dollar General or whatever, and I do have a lot of like glitter hearts, and it would be kind of cool to like decorate that wall with stuff like this, because it is like a Lucy wall. There's not room for anything else on that wall, because all my Lucy stuff there, and like half the wall is just my Lucy dolls, like the Mattel dolls. I have all of them except for the Ethel and Fred Santa. But I didn't. There is one that they released of Lucille Ball that I don't have, where she's holding the Desilu script. I didn't buy that because I was pissed off about the whole Ethel and Fred Santa thing. So like half the wall is like my Lucy dolls, and then the other half is just like my a couple shelves of collectibles. But there is a lot of wall space there, so that's why I buy a lot of this kind of stuff, because I just feel like I want to decorate that wall sometime with all these heart things. And then they had this. It was a curtain backdrop. The regular price for this was $4.49, and then the 66% off price was $1.53. So like a total, this was $2.53. But it's like this curtain backdrop with all these hearts on it. It's kind of this shiny material, and it looks like that. I just thought that was really cool. And like I've said, I have my I Love Lucy tree. Like when you are upstairs, there's like the walls that where you're like if you're looking down the steps, there's these walls here, and then I made this shelf that goes on top of those walls. It has my little Lucy tree there that I need to redo. But like underneath that, there's like this wall that comes down until the door opening. to the first floor, and so there's like this wall there, and I thought this would be the perfect thing to go on that wall, because like when you're looking down the steps, there's like the Lucy tree, and then there's like a picture on that wall behind the Lucy tree, and I still need to put those lights there, and there's a lot I need to do with my collectibles and Lucy collectibles and all my other collectibles, but I've been so focused on all this yarn and stuff, and keeping this room all organized and doing all my crochet and everything. I've kind of neglected decorating my collectibles and organizing them like I should, because there's a lot I want to do with all that stuff, but I've just been so focused on all this yarn and stuff. But like when you're looking down the steps, there's that wall there, and so I thought this would be the perfect thing to go there, because when you're at the top of the steps, you can see like the wall where all the Lucy stuff is, and then it kind of carries over onto that a small wall there at the top of the steps, in between the walls, and so like from the top of the steps you can see all that, and so it would be the perfect thing to add some hearts there, because it's just like a blank wall, and it's kind of in shadow anyway because of that little shelf there with my Lucy tree on it. So it would just be like the perfect place for something like this, and so I'll probably do that. That's where I'll put that, and then these I'll probably decorate my wall with or something like that. Eventually I'll start to show some of that stuff. Like I said, I'm probably going to rebrand my channel a little bit just so it's more of like a generic channel for me as a creative person and all of my interests and everything. Crochet will always be a part of every single one of my videos, and like all the yarn and everything, but I do go off on tangents in videos anyway, and so hopefully it won't be like a huge, it's not like all of my videos have been nothing but crochet and yarn, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be incorporating all this stuff, all of a sudden. Like, if you're watching my videos at this point, then you already know that I go off on tangents on all kinds of other things, and I have a lot of other creative interests that sometimes I'll sort of, talk about a little bit, or sometimes I'll actually show the other things. And so, or like if I get some DVDs, or I found this, Lucy thing somewhere, or, I'll incorporate that in a video about other things, like, with the crochet and the yarn and stuff. But eventually I'll start to, incorporate more of my, when I finally get the time and the focus to, work on my other creative interests and all my collectibles and organizing all that kind of stuff. And I need to organize my DVDs, and I'll probably incorporate a little bit of that into all of my videos too, if you don't mind that. You can always skip through it. If you think, oh god, you're going to be talking about DVDs, just skip through until you get to the yarn or get to something else. I don't care. Because I want you to enjoy the elements of my channel that, appeals to you, but you don't have to enjoy every single thing that I talk about. Or you don't have to be interested in physical media and DVDs, or hearing about Lucy, or like going to an antique store and getting a Beatles thing for my mom, or, a Snow White thing, or like, look, I'm still looking for those dwarfs in Dollar General. Like, you don't have to be interested in all that kind of stuff, but so if I do start to incorporate all that kind of stuff, when I get to finally organize all my Lucy stuff again, and I start incorporating it into a video, then hopefully that people will be interested enough to watch it. And if not, then you can just skip through, or wait until I get to something that you'll be interested in. Go back to the original topic before I went off a freaking tangent like I always do. But whatever. So I found that at Hobby Lobby. And then while I was looking around Hobby Lobby, this is sort of a weird thing, but because I've missed out on the clearance yarn for so long, like I haven't gotten any of the clearance yarn on their shipment day since before the ice storm. I know that they didn't have any shipment day after the ice storm and the snowstorm and all that stuff, but I haven't gotten any. When they finally got shipments in, I've been missing out on the yarn, and so it's kind of made me like look at their yarn a little bit differently. Don't get me wrong, if I go in there and they have yarn, of course I'm going to get it, and I do love all the yarn that I get in there. I've gotten really lucky getting all the clearance yarn that I've gotten in Hobby Lobby, but at the same time, like, there's been enough time where I haven't gotten any where I feel like I'm really starting to look at their yarn, because when I'm in the midst of it, I'm like, every single week there's like more and more clearance yarn and stuff. It's just like I'm so overwhelmed with all the excitement of getting the yarn, and like, oh, I got another one of these and another one of these and all these and all the clearance yarn that I get. But now that I haven't gotten any for a while, it's given me time to really like walk through there and like look at their yarn. And it's not helping that I get a haul from Goodwill, and there's like some vintage Hobby Lobby yarn in it, or the vintage other yarns from other places in it, or going into that antique store and finding this yarn from Hobby Lobby, and it's kind of making me feel like Hobby Lobby has a nice selection of yarn, but like what it doesn't have is it doesn't have a big variety of yarn. Just thinking about the yarn, instead of just like going there and like my focus is on like looking for clearance yarn, but now that I'm not getting it for a while, like I'm starting to think about it more, and like I'm starting to like look at the selection that they have in there, and it just feels like they have a huge selection of yarn, but what they don't have is a huge variety of yarn. Like that Goodwill haul that I got, and I had that like thistle or whatever it's called. I forget what it's called. That yarn that I used for the it's like that eyelash yarn that has a little bit of glitteriness in it. That was Yarn Bee brand, and I used it for the edging on that little that ridiculous little bag that I made with like the statement button on it. That thing, like that yarn, or like this, you know, the Yarn Bee boucle or whatever that I, you know, from that antique store. Like the more I come across stuff like this, especially yarn like this that obviously came from Hobby Lobby before, it's just making me feel like the yarn that they have in Hobby Lobby, even though they have a big selection, they just don't have a big variety. Like, where are the yarns like this? Why don't they make kind of yarns like this anymore? Why don't they make the yarn like that thistle or whatever? Why don't they make more? I mean, I've said like I'm not really into like really hairy, furry yarns and stuff, but like the more eyelash kind of yarns I find, and realizing that some of them used to be at Hobby Lobby, it's just like, why don't they have that kind of stuff anymore? Why don't they have like a big variety of yarns? Why? I mean, like they have the I Love This Yarn brand, and they do have a big selection of colors. You know, I love that they have all those. But like when you think about it, when you're down that aisle and you're looking at all the I Love This Yarn, and then you're looking over here and they have like the soft and sleek, or like, you know, the cotton skeins, you know, down on the other end of the aisle. It kind of, I mean, there's a lot of color and a lot of variety in that aspect, but then when you look at it, you're thinking all of the yarn is kind of just like plain yarn. Like, they don't have anything interesting like this anymore. I mean, they do have those, like that delphinium kind of colorway of that other yarn, and they do have that like super bulk, I mean, that really heavy yarn, whatever it's called, that Breathe Deep or whatever, but at the same time, they don't have, like, what was that kind of yarn? They got rid of this already. Like this, the Yarn Bee Fleece Light. I have two colorway. I mean, I have two skeins of this. This was yarn from the big markdown. So like this is a wavy yarn, or like even these. Like these are gone, and then these are gone. My Sweet Love. And so it's just kind of weird to like think about it for the first time, and like look at all the yarns in there and just think like, where's the variety? And I'm starting to realize that. I mean, maybe this is also because I get so much clearance yarn, and most of my hauls, I mean, I do get some yarn that I haven't gotten before, but most of my hauls are like, oh, I got another one of these, another one of these, another one of these, another one of these. It's just kind of like, you know, more of the same kind of stuff, and not just like more of the same skeins that I get. It's like more of the same kind of stuff. There's not like a big variety like this. Because like when I came across this, I thought like, this is really nice, and I knew that it was old Yarn Bee yarn because of the old logo, which is really cool. Like even the logos are kind of like, you know, watered down looking now. But you know what I'm saying? Like, why don't they have more interesting yarns like this anymore? It's just kind of sucks. So yeah, I've missed out on a bunch of yarn over the past few weeks and everything, but you know, at the same time, it doesn't upset me as much as it probably should, because I'm starting to think about it more. I'm starting to look at their selection more and just realize it, and like finding some in different places, an antique store or Goodwill, and like realizing that they used to have a much bigger variety, much bigger selection of like different kinds of yarn, not just like the different colors. They've got a monopoly on like, you know, the different kinds, like the different colorways and stuff. I mean, the colorways themselves are like unbeatable, like the selection that they have in there. But just looking at them, it's like, you know, I do love the medium 4-weight yarns, but and all that stuff, but like it's just like more of the same kind of yarns. And so I don't know. So just missing out on all that yarn, it's making it a little easier. Like now that I'm like really noticing like the lack of variety in the store. And so like if I miss out on a card yarn, it's like, well, yeah, I probably have most of those colorways, and they're just kind of like plain yarns. I mean, I do love the variegated yarns and all that kind of stuff. And it's not like if I walk in there, I'm going to think, oh, just a bunch of plain, you know, medium 4-weight yarns. Of course, I would get it, but like, you know what I'm saying? It's just making it a little bit easier. All the distance that grows between me and getting clearance yarn and stuff. But it's also just, you know, me noticing just how they got rid of a lot of really nice yarns that, you know, should still exist, and me wondering like, why don't they exist anymore? Why do they have these big markdowns every year and get rid of like in the big markdowns, they never get rid of the I Love the Sharn brand. There've been a couple skeins, but like for the most part, they don't really get rid of those. They're getting rid of all the really interesting ones. I mean, it's a good thing for cheap people like me that want to go into the big markdown and get all kinds of yarns and stuff. But like at the same time, I'm thinking, the next time I go in there for the big markdown, I'm going to think, oh, they're getting rid of this yarn. But it's like, oh, they're getting rid of this one. And what kind of yarn are they going to put there now? Is it going to be more of the same kind of thing, like the other yarns? Like, why are they getting rid of this interesting kind of yarn? But at the same time, it's like, what kind of interesting yarn is left? That kind with hemp, that rustic romantic, I mean, that's kind of, that's a little bit interesting. And like the metallic yarns, of course, are a little bit interesting, but they're not, that interesting. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where's the more interesting kind of, boucle or wavy yarn, or the thistle or whatever the hell it's called, or was it whistle, thistle, or whatever that was. And I remember looking it up, that thistle or whatever it was called, and coming across all kinds of other yarns that were Yarn Bee branded. It seems like it's not really the Hobby Lobby, like the I Love the Sharn. It's always like the Yarn Bee. But Hobby Lobby owns Yarn Bee, but why doesn't Yarn Bee have a whole bunch of other kinds of yarns anymore? Why are they getting rid of all the really interesting ones? I don't get it. I don't know, but it's making it easier. Missing out on the yarn, because it's not like I missed out on like, oh, look at these really interesting. Like it seems like every single time I go into Goodwill or something and I find a nice bag of yarn, it's like, look at all these really interesting yarns and stuff. I mean, not all of them are from Hobby Lobby, but like from all these different brands and stuff. I'm thinking, there's a much bigger variety out there that I need to start to look into, and I need to get over my obsession with clearance yarn and being so freaking cheap or whatever, because there's a whole big variety out there of other yarns, and some of them vintage or whatever, but some of them from other companies that I don't even focus on, because I'm just so focused on like my cheap ass looking for clearance yarn and stuff. But there's so many other interesting ones out there, and if Hobby Lobby isn't going to carry this stuff anymore, then maybe I need to start to branch out and look into other brands, other websites, other places to get it. And so I don't know. At least it's making it a little bit easier missing out on the yarn, knowing that I'm not missing out on anything really interesting. But anyway, I guess that's enough for this video. I'm going to try to, the shipment day's in a couple days, and so I'm going to try to go to Hobby Lobby and see if they, try to get some clearance yarn or whatever, because I've missed out on it for so long. Maybe the store won't be as busy because people will be out trying to look for water in town. Maybe this whole, screwed up water situation will, end up scoring me some yarn. Maybe I'll finally get to go in there and get some of the yarn after, for weeks and practically months at this point. I'm not getting any clearance yarn because the water situation is going to make the store not as busy. I don't know. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.